Welcome to this new automotive news video for Friday, May 29, 2026. On today's agenda, we'll talk about the new BMW iX3, which has just been released and is already facing a major problem. That's not BMW's only problem right now, since a new shortage is simply preventing them from producing one of their most important models. And Mitsubishi has announced the return of two of its most legendary models. Volvo owners will finally be able to enjoy a major benefit that was previously reserved for other brands. And at the end of the video, we'll talk about the totally unexpected return of a brand that everyone thought had disappeared. But before that, I'm adding another piece of news that I found particularly juicy. Believe it or not, the European Commission's lawmakers, the same ones who want everyone to switch to electric cars, are now discovering their major flaws and complaining about them. European Commission lawmakers regularly have to travel between Strasbourg and Brussels, the two main political centers of the European Union. For this 400-kilometer trip, they are provided with large, fully electric BMWs with drivers, models that currently have some of the best electric ranges available. But that's not enough. They still need to stop about 3/4 of the way to recharge, ensuring they reach their destination safely. Now they're complaining so much that most want to return to hybrids and combustion engines. So fortunately for them, the brands haven't completely abandoned the development of hybrid cars and combustion engine models. In the meantime, it still kind of sends the following message. Electric cars for the common people, yes. Electric cars for the members of the European Commission. Apparently that's a big no. We'll now cover the topics planned for this video. I hope you find them interesting and show your support if you do. By leaving a like, subscribing for the next videos, you can obviously boost this one if the option appears for you. And also leave a comment where you share your opinion about today's news. At BMW, they have to deal not with one problem, but with two big problems at the same time. And it's unlucky because both affect electric vehicles. The first is a shortage problem, a production issue which affects the fully electric BMW iX3, which is currently the brand's best-selling electric car in France. For once, it's not a shortage related to the electric motors or the battery, but with its wheels. More specifically, the 17 and 18-inch rims specific to this model. The suppliers simply can't deliver the rims quickly enough. It's not a raw material issue. But it's because the iX3 is simply a victim of its own success. In Germany, sales are strong due to renewed electric car subsidies. Since BMW prioritizes German orders, French customers like us are left waiting. If you order an X1 now, you'll probably have to wait several more months compared to what the dealership tells you. There's always another option, of course. Instead of choosing the 17 or 18-inch wheels, which are the entry-level wheels, you could go for the 19 or 20-inch wheels. Those are still available, but they have a serious drawback, since you have to pay at least 2,000 euros extra. And because of that, you also have to accept having a shorter range due to the extra weight of these large wheels, but also often a bit less comfort. In any case, for now, BMW still hasn't developed a solution that would allow them to quickly get enough wheels. Let's hope customers who ordered their iX1 in 2026 don't wait too long, since the new iX1 should arrive in a few years. BMW is working on it now, and the closer the current 9.1 orders are fulfilled to the arrival date of the new 9.1, the faster the new units of the current generation will lose value. So that's the catch. That's a problem that BMW has to deal with right now, but there's another one that's much bigger. This concerns the new BMW iX3, the one that just came out, which is actually affected by two major problems. First, the problem identified is very serious and a major issue. Additionally, it's always difficult for a brand to organize recall campaigns for a major problem right after a model is released. It looks very bad. And yet the new X3 is already subject to its first recall for a particularly concerning problem. BMW has indeed identified a manufacturing defect that could, in the most serious cases, simply cause death by electrocution while charging the vehicle. The problem concerns an essential component, the unit responsible for managing the charging electronics, which directs electricity to the battery while normally ensuring the safety of the system. It's simply an insulation defect that has been found. In this case, electrical voltage could end up in the vehicle's bodywork. And if someone unfortunately touches the body at the same time, well, that's it. Goodbye. The affected units are those that were produced between November 2025 and February 2026, so let's say it's really the very first batch of BMW iX3. The good news is that since these are fairly recent vehicles, they're not yet on the used car market, so it's going to be pretty easy for BMWs to find the current owners of these vehicles. They'll contact them personally, either by email or by phone, to directly schedule a service appointment at the workshop. This recall comes at a particularly sensitive time for the German manufacturer. since this is the model that, for now, BMW is relying on the most for its all-electric strategy. Just as a reminder, the X3 has an 800-kilometer range and a 350 kilowatts of charging power. It would be a real shame if one of the best European electric vehicles had its image damaged by a serious problem like this right at its launch. Good news for Volvo owners. A new partnership has just been sealed between Volvo and Tesla, which will allow owners of electric Volvos, starting from the fourth quarter of 2026, to take advantage of the 20,000 Tesla Superchargers deployed across Europe. Actually, they were already accessible, but until now, to use them, you had to go through the Tesla app. Now, it will be done directly through the Volvo app, which seems much easier to use. So that's the good news. The slight downside, in quotes, is that even though Tesla Superchargers are becoming more easily accessible to Volvo owners, they still shouldn't be able to benefit from the preferential rates that are, of course, reserved for Tesla vehicles. By the way, let's remember that not long ago Tesla increased the prices at its charging stations for vehicles from brands other than Tesla. And this compatibility between Volvo and Tesla Superchargers should even extend to the V4 Superchargers, which are expected to arrive in the coming months, which still have the advantage of offering up to 500 kilowatts of charging power, while most traditional chargers found in Europe are usually around 100, 150, or 300 kilowatts at most. While some manufacturers are betting on charging station networks to attract their customers, Mitsubishi has found another way to revive two of the most iconic legends in the world of 4x4s, the Pajero and the Montero. So actually, you should know that the Montero and the Pajero are now the same vehicle. It's just that in the United States, it's called the Montero, and in Europe, it's called the Pajero. The good news is that Mitsubishi isn't going to do what everyone else is doing. They're not going to bet on an SUV here, but on a real 4x4, just like the old Pajero or the old Montero, a vehicle designed to be tough and, above all, built to go just about anywhere. The new Pajero will be built on a ladder frame chassis, a chassis that is completely separate from the body. This generally allows for a much tougher chassis, much more resistant to twisting on rough roads or difficult terrain. And it's much better suited for towing and heavy loads, which is usually one of the main uses for this type of vehicle. Obviously, it will be equipped with four-wheel drive. What we don't know yet, however, is what Mitsubishi has planned for the engine options for these vehicles. The chassis is derived from another current Mitsubishi model, the Triton, which is currently sold with combustion engines, large diesels, for example, with twin turbochargers. There's a good chance we'll find pretty much the same engines under the hood of the Pajero as well, maybe hybridized, maybe not. Maybe with smaller engines or powerful hybrids to slightly reduce the CO2 tax penalty for a vehicle like this. But that's not necessarily Mitsubishi's top priority, since, as a reminder, in France and in Europe, most work vehicles like this, off-roaders or pickups, can easily be exempt from CO2 taxes, as long as they are considered work vehicles, in configurations with only 2 seats in the front and no seats in the back. And believe it or not, this isn't the only comeback we're going to talk about in this video, because we'll finish with a topic that's a bit more exciting. Maybe, actually. The English brand AC Cars is making a comeback with a first model inspired by the old AC Cobra, which some might know as the Shelby Cobra. It will actually be called the Cobra Coupé, and it will partly take on the look of the Cobra from the 1960s. So it's a visual inspiration, but also, and this is probably the most important, a technical inspiration from what was done back then, since this Cobra will only be available with combustion engines. Only with V8 ESO. That's right, under the hood, you'll find the 5-liter Ford V8, which will come in several power levels. There will be the basic naturally aspirated version with 450 horsepower, the turbo version, that will produce 720 horsepower. And finally, an extreme version called Club Sport, limited to 99 units, which will have 800 horsepower. So be careful, you'll need to be fully alert to drive it because this car will be rear-wheel drive only with a 6-speed manual gearbox. And for those who are less purist, there's the option of a 10-speed automatic gearbox. The model is built on an aluminum chassis, and the body is made entirely of carbon fiber. AC Cars hopes to sell 1,000 per year, and this car will be manufactured in England. Production of the Cobra Coupé will start next year, and as you might expect, with these technical specifications and the use of so many advanced materials, this is not a low-end car, nor an affordable one. The first deliveries are scheduled for 2028 with a price that should start at around £400,000, which is about 470,000 euros. AC Cars has announced this is just the beginning, confirming that more historic models may return in the coming years. The manufacturer specifically mentions the possible return of several vehicles from its historic catalog, as well as the development of new electric powertrains, or more precisely, electrified, considered to be more modern. Obviously, with this big V8 at that price, I mainly think this car will be successful in the United States and the Middle East. But if you're a wealthy European customer It will also be available for purchase in Europe. There you go. We've covered the news for this Friday. I hope you found the video interesting, and if you did, I'm counting on you to show your support by leaving a like, subscribing for future videos, and of course, by becoming a supporter of my channel. Through the join button below this video, I'll see you tomorrow for the next car news update. Ciao.